I'm Luke. I'm a rising junior at New York University studying sports management and business, entertainment, media, and technology.
Hi, my name's Jake. I'm also a sports management major. I'm a rising sophomore, and I'm also studying sports management with a minor in psychology and business, entertainment, technology, and media.
So even though we're both a part of the same major and we're kind of studying something similar, I think there's so many unique avenues and pathways within our own major. So we're actually doing completely different things within our own major. Sports management in itself, I think it's kind of like business, but there's so many different aspects of a business or of an industry, and it kind of just delves into this unique perspective of sport. As we know, sports is like a billion-dollar industry, regardless of whether you're in America or back here. And there's so many different facets of it. So I'm more interested in the finance perspective of it, like the business side and how to run things and what team operations look like. And as far as I'm concerned, he's more interested in the psychology side and the athletes and looking into the perspective of the athlete and how they're able to function at such a high level. So there's so many different things that you can do with our major, and I think that's what makes it special because it's so small and everybody within our community is so interested and fascinated about this one topic. And I think that just makes it all the more special because from our professors to the dean to, even your peers, everybody shares that same passion, but there's so many different avenues that you can take.
As Luke mentioned, more into the psychological aspects, the more cognitive aspects of athletes. However, I also like to understand and have a passion for sales because like my dad always taught me that sales means everything. You have to sell in order to actually live the world. You have to in order to be successful, you have to sell to people, which is why I like studying psychology as well, because I get to understand how people think, how people act, and that is a part of selling. In order to sell to someone, you have to know who that someone is. So I also am intrigued about the finance side, which is why I'm also minoring the same as him, but I'm also minoring in psychology because I had that passion in high school and I want to continue it. But I didn't want to study psychology as a major just because I thought that was too broad, and I think that my teachers in high school did a really good job teaching me, so I think I have a very thorough understanding about that.
I don't really know how he found it, but for me it was I always told my friends and my parents that I wanted to study business, and so half the things that I applied to were business schools, and then I found sports management just one day on regular Tuesday, and I was just doing research and I found out that you could actually study sports, and sports has been something that's been a part of our lives since we were 2, 3, playing baseball together, playing basketball together, and I think I took it for granted that it was an industry in its own and that you could study it. I think for business, I know there's so many kids undergraduate that go into business and they're like, oh, I want to change the world, or I want to make a bajillion dollars, and that's why I'm going into business. And for me, I think even though those things are intriguing, I kind of wanted to do something a little bit more niche, and then that's why I think later down the line I will study finance or more of a management thing and graduate program or something of that.
Originally, I don't think I did the best of work researching about schools, and I think that Crimson definitely helped with their team, and obviously I'm where I'm at because of Crimson, of course, and learning from Luke as well, and not only just my peers too. I was able to find sports management because we were both varsity sports players in high school, and we were always grown up with sports. We always had a very fond understanding and passion for sports, and Luke is probably the best at analytical side of sports. He can figure out someone's jersey number. He knows all the college mascots just by his memory alone. So I guess having that passion for sports, but also business and psych for me really gave me that in-depth research to allow me to apply there.
If you were to describe it, I think it just blows every expectation out the water. For me personally, just moving from big city to big city, I've always been really heavy on living in a metropolitan area and just taking advantage of the opportunity. So from meeting new people to being able to network to being able to be a part of something bigger than yourself, I think there's no better place than New York.
Yeah, I would agree. I think from living here for 10 years in Shanghai, I think that transferring into New York is has a lot of similarities, and I think that it was kind of born with me. I think that living in New York was very similar to Shanghai, and I was allowed to transfer my skills that I've learned in Shanghai to New York.
I think that's been the biggest learning curve for me, is just finding my way in a big city. you know, it's hard because everybody wants to do their best and wants to be a part of the big city life, but at the same time you also have to find your own way and you have to figure out where your place is in New York.
My dad always said that living in New York, like, you could live anywhere else because of how, not dangerous, but how real it is. Because in Shanghai, we lived in kind of like a bubble in an international school. We didn't really experience like how like other people would experience like life in general. Like, I think that New York subways are a bit tricky for people, maybe even just walking like long distances. But I think New York really gives us the privilege to like have what like a real person would experience in real time, and also the mecca of sports, the mecca of like business. It's just fun in general.
Even though we're in one of the smaller schools in NYU, there's still so many different people. I felt like in my high school I knew everybody. I could, you know,
Everybody knows you too.
not necessarily, but I felt like I knew everyone. I could identify them by name, and I had this small family, even though I was still in like an international high school in the US. I think I'm trying to find my place, and even though I feel like I do know a lot of people, it's just that much bigger. And at the same time, it's also paving a way for not only you, but for people who are also a part of the international community as well. Sometimes when you move, you forget that where you started and where you come from, and I think that's really important to transfer not only what we bring to the table, but also our cultural values and everything that we've learned along the way. I think something that we don't touch upon enough is the perspective that we have coming as international kids. And sometimes when you come from a place like Shanghai or you come from a place like Nigeria, you're a little bit shy because you're new to the culture and you don't really understand where your place is. But I think the more that I go into college and then try to pave my way, and for others as well, I think you try to create that space where everybody's accepted and included. So for me, it's just all about utilizing my perspective and trying to find my place within the community.
95% of the time when I'm in the dorm, I barely know who's in front of me. Like, I think like going into like the cafeteria, for example, I could like see a new person every day, or like I guess a group. And even though like I have a couple like close friends and like obviously my classmates, I like if I see like my class, I'll find someone new. Like, it's just that simple. And it's just that how big like the world really is, and I guess New York and NYU. So compared to like SAS, for example, like we kind of created like a family dynamic with the teachers, with the students, and you kind of know everyone. But in NYU is like a completely different atmosphere.